Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Jason?
Not much.
How you doing? So seeing some lights up there, man.
Yep,
Yep.
I've set the phone down. Still working on something else.
Okay. I'm gonna go
Hang on.
grab some water real quick.
Okay.
Cool. I'll be right back. Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go.
All right.
Can you hear me, Olivia? Olivia?
I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Huh?
I can hear Olivia now. Jason, can you hear Jason?
I mean, I can hear you. I can hear you guys if I put you up to my ear.
Well, go ahead and turn the speaker up all the way.
I did.
Brandon, where's your speaker at? Is it turned up? Because you may be the master volume on this.
I can try. It's all the way up now.
Let me try something else.
Brandon?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, that makes it much better.
That sound better?
Yeah, Olivia. Olivia?
There. I can hear you now. Can you see me though?
Nope. Scroll to the right.
Can you hear me, Brandon?
I can hear you, yeah. So, and it's recording everything on here too. So after we wrap up the meeting, it'll create a link, and I'm gonna save it on the backup hard drive, and then we should all be able to access it.
Okay. It's not allowing me to do both. If you see me, then I can't hear you, and when you don't see me, I can hear you just fine. So.
Yeah, I'm okay with it if you guys are okay with it.
Yeah.
You good?
Can you hear, honey?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Can you scroll to the right? Down the bottom, you're going to see 3 dots.
Yeah, I'm to the far right, honey. It's not a big deal, hon.
I didn't say anything.
All right. So did Jason Harrelson get everything he needed to get things rolling there?
He is still waiting on the bank stuff. I finally located a printer, but as far as getting the stuff he needs in order to initiate with the appraisal, he has all that.
Okay. So he's just waiting for bank statements, so.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, that sounds good. So I guess before getting started, anything in particular that you guys would like to cover today? I mean, I got all the documents up, everything that was just sent out on Sunday. Have you guys had a chance to kind of go through that?
We went through the termite inspection one to knock that one out right away. That's one that they have to cover the costs with the damage.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that one quick.
Now, in terms of, there was an area that they weren't able to check just because of where all of their stuff was. Is that going to be something they can go back and check when it's moved, or is it just kind of like, oh, well, we're out of luck because their boxes were just in the way?
No, it's well, when he goes out in order to do a clearance, he's got to make sure that it's free and clear of termites. So he has to check that, but we can put that in the request for repairs if we put them together, and that's what I was planning to put a request for repairs together. Just wanted to see, kind of what your thoughts were about everything, going through that. So let me. I'm just going to try to minimize a few of these. And can you see everything that's on my screen? Are you guys seeing city
I
inspection?
just see you. I don't see anything. I don't see a screen.
Okay. There's a way to change those boxes on the top. So the top where your window is, it's
Share content.
there's a small, middle, and a large, and then like 4 boxes, and then 1 big box. Right? You see those?
Yeah, the report of city building records. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So this is what's on my screen right now. I'm gonna just minimize all these through Swag.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So for the termite, so just going through it, it shows fungus and dry rot is the box that's checked. So there is some wood replacement that they got to take out. And then section 1 and section 2, section 1's active infestation. Section 2 is things that could lead to it, or it could be evidence of like roof leaks. If they see stains in the attic, that typically is under section 2. And then if they see that, then they're going to say, okay, we need a roof certification. I didn't see anything acknowledging anything of seeing stains in the home inspection or on the termite, which is good. It doesn't look like there's any issues with it.
On the termite 11 alpha, it's got section 1 finding fungus noted to fascia, trims, shutter, and post. So that's where that $750 comes from.
Correct. So that's replacing that wood. And they also mention on there, which all the termite companies here in California typically do, is that when the wood is replaced, they primer it. They don't try to match the paint. It's just primered. You know what I mean? So it usually sticks out when you can tell what wood was replaced. I did see that as I was going through.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So we have that. Let's see. Just trying to see if there's anything else on here. Yeah, it just refers to 11A, section 1 item 750. Invoice, and this is all paid by them. But we wrote it in the purchase agreement. Section 1 and section 2, not just the report, but also clearance. And that's asking the sellers to fix it as well. And we just pre-negotiated that, which a lot of times, since like 2014, they took it out of the original purchase agreement, where you used to actually have boxes where you talked about the termites. They didn't want you pre-negotiating, but since this is VA, seller has to pay for the termite report. So we just wrote in section 1, section 2 clearance, and didn't counter it out. So that's what they're responsible for. Yeah,
Okay.
really all that's on here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else as I'm going through it.
That part that's on that was a little, maybe 2 pages up on that, the section 3, the one, section 3, further inspection. So, I mean, what's the process on that? Like, when would that be able to be done?
It's likely going to be once they can move everything out. So depending on when they can do that, but they're doing a rent back situation here. So what we would have to put is in the request for repairs for them to be able to provide a date that they can clear out, I guess, the garage that has quite stuff in there. So when they have to clear out the garage so that he can see that, and then just re-inspect that spot. So and Swag is a reputable termite company for locally. I'm actually supposed to be doing an interview with him on Wednesday, or not, in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do like a podcast together. He's been in the business for quite some time out here, and so I believe he's based out of Simi, but I know he's got a Kenora location as well. So, but I know I've worked with him in the past. So if we have any issues, he's definitely somebody that'll come out. It's not like a fly-by-night termite company here.
All right, cool.
Not a whole lot more on here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that I'm missing. I mean, we can read it.
Yeah, I read all of that. I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, not a whole lot more. a lot of times they'll say if they find active infestation, which I mean, you know, they have the dry rot that they're going to replace, but if they find it in other spots, they'll recommend some type of spot treatment or tent. And I'm not seeing any reference to either of those, so it looks like they're just replacing the wood.
Yeah.
And they have to be a licensed and bonded termite company to give clearance like that. So yeah, got all this information here. So should be fine though. I'm not seeing anything else on here. Trying to see if there's nothing else. So yeah, so they typically want to do that. We'll normally need to have that done prior to close of escrow, which we have about 45 days is set on here. Couple dates to bring up. As I believe I mentioned it a few days ago, we had a shorter inspection period of 10 days. So that actually comes up on 3/26. So that's, coming up in 3 days. So we want to do our request for repairs, or if there are any other further inspections. Did you get a chance to get a hold of Alex?
I didn't need to. That sheet that you had sent me, I had never
report.
I didn't get that part. I only got the original, or if I had it sent, it didn't come through or something, but that I was able to read through what you sent, and that's kind of what I was looking for. The other one, it was like his handwriting, it was faded. I couldn't read anything.
I think that was probably the city inspection report. Because when you scroll down that, there's a lot of writing in it. Yeah, that's, and it's all original from like 1985, the 80s.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't read any of that. That's what I thought this was.
No, we'll pop that up too. So the first one that was sent to you was the city inspection report, escrow. The seller pays for it, escrow gets it. On there, the biggest thing to note on there was the sewer lateral inspection. And they did get clearance on that when they purchased it. I believe it was, I wrote it down, I think it was 2016. So about 4 years ago. It also mentioned ABS piping, which is better than your clay piping. So the clay piping is what a lot of the older homes, especially in Ventura, had with trees and root intrusion that would come into. So that's normally where I've actually closed a transaction out there in Ventura that it was really bad. So it was like 70% root intrusion, and it came out to about $5,000 that the sellers ended up paying to repair all of that, so that that your waistlines properly. So the type of piping that is used is better, and it's part of that is because it's a newer home. 1985 is still considered newer. In Ventura, you got homes back in the 1910, 1920s, getting a certain spot. So so that's considered still one of the newer tracks there, at the 1985. So you have the option to do a sewer lateral inspection, and if you want, I would call Alex just if you have that question. Hey, is it worth it to do a sewer lateral? Is it worth it to do any other inspections? We did the roof inspection, and to be honest, if we would have had Alex go out there first, he probably would have said, hey, the roof looks pretty decent. He shared with us that he saw roughly 5 to 7 years of life on it. But again, the professional went out and said, based on the years left on it, he and I think a lot of it was he was trying to figure out whether it was an original roof, and then he was flashings and some other things. But he said, at most, since it's been more than 30 years ago, you got about 2 to 3 years, 3 years tops. No evidence of leak. None of those things. Not saying that it doesn't need a new roof. I mean, a new roof. In terms of negotiating it, that's going to be something, really between the two of you. I'll advise on it, but if we want to ask for it, that's up to the two of you. I'm gonna back up whatever your decision is.
Yeah, it's on the kind of on the end of its life.
Right. So it is going to be something that's going to come up, and even if it were to still be fine while you were still living there and owning the property, by the time you go to sell it, there's probably, issue at that point in time.
Yeah. And this would have been something that the people that own it currently, that if they did a roof inspection would have known, they bought it, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that.
Right.
That the roof was definitely coming to the end if that was the 30-year lifespan of that roof. So
right.
Whether they chose not to do the inspection or they got told that, oh yeah, it's got 10 years on it.
Right.
I mean, the situation that we're coming into is different, and having the guarantee that you're going to have to replace it, that's something that buying it at the price that we're buying it at, that's not something that we want to have to bear that expense as well.
Right. Yep, that makes sense.
I think some of it also depends on what the appraisal comes out at. If the house appraises, let's say, $10,000 or $15,000 less, then it might be harder to say, well, we want to knock off another 10 for the roof,
No, agreed. And I'm sure they want to know the answer to the appraisal prior to saying yes or no if we do ask for a roof credit.
Exactly.
It's again, it's that I guess on the silver lining side of it, the estimate is much more reasonable than what most roofers will quote out here in this area.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common to see that between 12 to 18 this size property. I've seen it on smaller properties go for more on the estimate. So hopefully, this is what I have on the screen right now is what he's quoting to just repair. And it's it didn't look like major, but just a few little spots that he was going to fill in and just clean it up. But at least you would know, you got your Band-Aid on it for now. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's there. So at a minimum, you got two different estimates. We don't have to send this estimate over. We could just send the full roof estimate, when we put our request for repairs together. Typically, if you're going for a big ticket item, that's going to be your biggest one. Then I would just say, looking at the other repair requests, certain things that have to be done: smoke detector, carbon monoxide, water heater, right? Water heater, they put about with water heater. Code will always say a few other additional things, and we can ask for it. But in terms of having to be done, it's the double strapping, which is already done. The blocking, though, we can ask them to still block it. And then they also talked about a sediment trap, which is a newer code that came out in the last few years that is starting to show up in all the home inspection reports now. So we can ask them for it. Again, what I would recommend is sticking to, at least in terms of negotiating, trying to put your seller hat on as if, okay, if you're in the seller's position right now, what would you be willing to do? And if we ask for everything, it's likely they're going to just say,
right.
Agree to very much.
Yep.
We
crossed this bridge with our last house, and same
we had to
same
just pick
recommendation
priorities.
was to, pick your make or break, walk away from the deal items, and then lead with those.
Yep. So that's the best way to go. So and just from experience, the more that you can keep it in that wheelhouse, the higher likelihood they're going to be like, okay, look, especially in this market right now with everything that's happening, with all the fear, the concerns of showing property, even, you know what I mean? If you were to say, hey, we really want to do a mold inspection, we want to do this, and run all these inspections. The car advisory just recently just said for us not to do showing property, not to do inspections. We got our inspection in the day before CAR made that announcement. CAR is the California Realtors. So I'm glad that we got it done. I'm glad we did it right out the gate. Appraisal, they're gonna accommodate us for that. In terms of having the appraiser, and just so you know, the appraiser meets with the seller or the listing agent. The buyer's typically not there for that, but you own that report when it comes back to you, and you don't have to share it with the other side. There's a chance it could come in higher. There's a chance it could come in lower. If it comes in lower, then we send it to the other side and ask for a reduction. So ahead of time, he did tell us that if the appraisal came in at that, as long as it was within reason, so he didn't give me a specific amount, that they would be, understanding and come down to that price. He didn't say meet in the middle. He just said that they understand that if the appraisal comes in less, they're willing to do that. So there's been a lot of good faith on their part. I do want to handle this as professionally, but my job is to represent the two of you and make sure we negotiate the best terms that we possibly can right now. And I do that you have certain things in your favor with the climate of what's happening, you know what I mean, at this time. And,
Yeah.
It doesn't look like, anytime soon we're going to hear any type of resolution. We're hopeful that it is, but we don't know when that date's going to be, and the other thing to also keep in mind is as we want, there's certain favors that could happen towards the end. And I try to explain this up front. I've had pushback from clients before in the past, and I just want to share it. But just like in terms of moving, in terms of being able to move out sooner, or later, right? Right now they're saying, hey, they're trying to get out ASAP. They're trying to move out, as quickly as they can. I'm sure they're waiting to see how committed we are, what we're going to ask for in request for repair. And I know the listing agent was already trying to position himself or anchor or whatever you want to call it, that, hey, if we come down in price, we're hopeful. We're not hopeful, but we're doing this in anticipation that there's not going to be some just insane requests for repairs, right? So he already prefaced it with that. But again, it doesn't mean that we don't have the contractual right to ask for whatever you really want to ask for, so I want to start with that because I want you both to truly do, okay, what is right for the two of you? What do we feel is fair for all parties? And let's see if we can negotiate the best terms possible.
Makes sense.
Sound good? Okay. So with the roof, anything else on this one here that I'm on, or can I drop this one down?
No, good to go with the roof.
Okay. Yeah.
Roof's good. Yeah. So 9200 is the one that the bigger one that we'll send. My guess is with the request for repairs. Home inspection report. You said you felt good with that. Did you want to go over anything on there?
Are we talking about?
There's the city inspection report that has a bunch of the handwritten, and then you go all the way. I mean, it's a lot of pages on there, and we can try to cruise through that.
Yeah, I couldn't, if that's the one you're talking about. I couldn't really read much of. It was too hard for me to read. So
Okay. Yeah,
I don't really know anything about that one.
No problem. So this is the city inspection report here. Can you see it? Okay, I can try to zoom in some. Is that better?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So this is where it starts off. I want to say it's 20 plus pages. So I'll try to go through, but this is basically contact escrow. The escrow company orders the city inspection report. And then it goes through anything. So it talks about the private sewer lateral notice. So all properties in escrow after February 2nd, 2014 are required to comply with this civil code regarding the private sewer lateral inspection. Please review the attached facts sheet and records. Determine if a PSL video and report is needed to submit for this escrow. For more information, and then that's the address right there, or you can call the phone number there. Okay. And at the very end of this, they do have the sewer lateral inspection clearance. It's the very last page of this. Start going through this here. So this was the amount. So that's what the sellers paid, the $83 to get that. So just when you go to sell it in the future, it's the same thing. You'll have to pay for that, sewer lateral inspection report. Well, not the sewer lateral, I'm sorry, the city inspection report, which will have, it'll have all the same documents. So this is all with the city of Ventura. So the early documents is all when they built the property. So it's the building permit. You can go through, so any details that you need to get from the original. So it shows plan 3, single family residential, estimated valuation, 93,000. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it is.
There's a few homes that I sold that were built in the 70s, and they were purchased at like 40,000. We sold them for over 700,000. It's just like
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, if you were, one of those original owners that lived there 25 years, you're banking pretty good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was definitely the retirement for quite a few people once they were able to do that. I'm just scrolling through, but all of this should be on your file, and it's and hopefully it's the same legibility, on yours. I can try to resend it too. This is, I think it's zoomed in a little bit too much. I'm gonna try to zoom out some.
Yeah, see, that's the stuff I couldn't see as any of the written in stuff was too.
Yeah, it's like
blurred.
It's not showing the whole thing either here, so I want you to see it. All right, so this is the correction. So this is the next one. So it's all the original building, and then the next thing that it comes up to is the this is off of the solar lease when they did that.
Oh, okay.
Now the solar lease, that's not through Vivint, right? That because it seemed like Vivint was the security, burglary, and then solar.
They are the solar, I think.
Yeah, I think they're. Yeah, it is Vivint Solar.
Yeah.
So Vivint Solar. Maybe it is for security as well. I think that's because I remember when you were asking me about the insurance.
Yeah.
I believe he did say Vivint, so maybe they do. Maybe they do it all. But the lease is definitely Vivint Solar. Let's see what he has on here for the alarm system. And before I forget, so the disclosure stuff that that Yvette sent you, Yvette's the transaction coordinator. It's basically it's all the same documents that I emailed you. By you signing everything, just acknowledges that you've read it, that you've seen it, you've read it. It doesn't mean that you don't dispute anything that they're saying. More of the disclosures, at least in California, the TDS and the SPQ transfer disclosure statement and the seller property questionnaire is a big CYA, just meaning that they want to disclose anything they know about the property that you should want to know about as a buyer. So, I mean, it's pretty bare minimum. I don't see anything that really out. It's mostly no's all the way through it. There's a few where they talk about alterations or things that were done, painting the interior, just minimal stuff, but nothing major. So hopefully it's a clean property, and that's what it sounds like from the inspection reports, from what we've checked through our due diligence, and from what they're disclosing. If there were something major, then that would be something that you'd bring to my attention. Not that we're looking to sue anybody or do any of that, but the first thing I would do is I would send it out to the other side, to the other agent, and say, hey, look, there wasn't anything disclosed about this situation. We need to try to figure out a solution to this. So we'd try to go that route and then go from there.
Okay.
Doesn't guarantee anything, but a lot of times when you're working with good parties, good agents, this agent's been doing it for a while. He's not a brand new agent. You want to hope that they're able to work through a situation before it escalates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is all solar stuff. There's a bunch, so this is gonna.
Yeah, I did see the solar stuff.
Yeah, let me see if I can get out of this thing. Just trying to make it a little bit smaller because it's kind of. There we go. Okay. So can you see that okay? Is that too small?
Yeah, maybe a little too small.
Let's see if I can get a little bit bigger. Is that better?
Yeah. Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, so that's your sewer lateral inspection report. So shows it in 2016 is when that was completed. The video technician, this is the company, Habanero. So you got pretty good Spanish out here?
We don't speak it that well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There you go. Word. And Danielle, my wife may need some lessons too. You do homeschooling, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We had our first day of our Ramey homeschool today. It was pretty new experience. But Danielle's got her master's in teaching, and she always in 3rd grade or below, so they're still shorter than her. So she's not looking up to them. She's pretty short. But yeah, no, it was. They seemed like they had a good time. So I was out running errands conveniently during that time, trying to stop for all this madness we got going on right now.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a few things out that have been put out about all of a sudden homeschooling is cool now, or all of a sudden homeschooling is mandatory. Since when was homeschooling mandatory? All these things.
Experience, but she does a great job with them, and it was cool. I was
exciting.
Yeah.
It might make some parents send their kids back to school,
They may send them back quicker, and they're like, hey.
Or that too, I guess.
Heard it leading to all kinds of things that weren't happening before the case. You can see it over here. I think there's a way I can put like a little spot. I still got to figure out. This might be That's good there. And again, if you want to call the home inspector at any point in time, you can ask him about these things while we have a few days. If we need to get a video camera inspection, in certain properties, he's told me, don't worry, I wouldn't do it here if it were me because of the type of material that the pipe is. Now, if you had an older type of even copper piping, sometimes they'll say, yeah, make sure you got to do what you have to do, or just whatever was before that, which you may know, Jason. Before copper piping, do you know what type of piping they've done in houses?
Prior to copper, I couldn't tell you that. I know PVC is the preferred just because of the longevity.
It's
Right.
different here. They don't use the clay piping.
Yeah. I don't know why they do it out here, to be honest with you, or why they did it out here, but it's pretty common in a lot of places. And
yeah, well, it makes sense there. I mean, the ground is a lot different there.
Yeah, and it's but there are, a lot of issues that happen with that, and at least with this one, you're not dealing with that clay piping, at least according to what the inspection report here says, and that was the same thing. With the home inspector said the same thing. So it just says clean out is accessible outside of the building. So that's good that you have a clean out. And then it's been verified as having no outside surface drains, rainwater runoff. So the one thing we did notice there, and Jason, did you mention it just about the level of the back room being level, and then there's a little bit of a slope that comes down so the water can catch and kind of build up right there. Just things that eventually you may need to put a drain in, or we don't know exactly how big of an issue it is. It just looks like water could set right there. So that was one of kind of the big things, I guess, that was visible and that the home inspector brought up.
That's on that was on like the left side of the home, right?
Yep.
Is that the thing you guys were talking about?
Yeah, the left back of the home, but it's the same level, and I see it quite a bit, especially so the back is considered like an enclosed patio. It's actually, at least from what I read in the detail report, it's not included in your actual square footage. So you actually have a little bit more square footage, kind of similar to like the outdoor property had that built-in enclosed patio. It's not, you don't count it as square footage, but you're actually getting more square footage. Well, the downside that he brought up is it's the same level. Well, every time I've sold a property that has had that, it's the same thing that gets called out. I can't say that I've had any clients that have called me that said, hey, this is a disaster. We got to rip this whole thing out and we got to redo it. You may have to do something with the paneling. It looks like the paneling may have been replaced. I didn't see any note of that in the TDS and the SPQ though. Saying that they talked about painting. They didn't say anything about, did you see?
I think it said that there wasn't any, like that it needed to be added.
Okay. That there wasn't any replacement of the panel?
Yeah, that it was, I thought it was saying that it was missing, like that it needed to be put on.
Oh, on the home inspection report?
Yeah.
Well, it's when I walked around and I was doing the visual, it looked like on that corner, that same left backside corner, that you could try to seal that up a little bit more than what it was. So it was one of the things I wrote out, and I still haven't finished my agent visual inspection. I wrote out a decent amount of it, and I just the rest of it. So I'm going to finish typing that up, and then when I complete that, I'll send that over to you, just in case there's anything else. I'll get that done for you tonight, just so you have enough time to also read through that. Mine's a lot more detailed than what the listing agent had on there, just because I know you're out there, and just try to see as much as we can see to see if there's any kind of issues that potentially could come up. On this picture here, this is where the sewer lateral is. So it just shows it from the front door going all the way out. That's that's where your waistline is going to come out.
Oh, okay.
And then this your report, just information from, so this is your escrow officer. Contact escrow. It's actually this Kelly at contact. Okay. My daughter's coming in here. She said she'll be quiet. All right. My son would just came in and jump on my lap right now. That's what he would.
Right.
Yep. All right. Just seeing if there's anything else. I'm going to go back up through it one more time. What is this? Replace, relocated, permit information. Yeah, this is again this.
Yeah, I went in the grocery store today, and the guy at the checkout, obviously he doesn't have any kids or anything yet, but he said that it sounded like he was at it was a zoo with monkeys all over, and I was like, well, good thing no one else is in the store but me. So yeah, my kids can be obnoxiously loud sometimes.
It's this has been a whole new experience working from home, hearing screaming and yelling, and these walls are not soundproof at all. So I've had to try the headset and the earphones, just something to try to keep my sanity, you know.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Extreme alert. Stay well at home order means in effect. Please self-isolate and stay home. Okay. Are you guys getting this right now?
No. That's why I don't watch the local news.
No, it was one of those emergency alerts. You know, that hit all your phones. It hit my watch and my phone. Yeah.
It might not hit mine because of the area code it's associated with.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hit mine either. That must be strictly for California area. Hi, honey.
All right. So yeah, so there's not a whole lot much more that I'm seeing on here. It's just planning to review, making sure I'm not seeing anything else. Building permit. Looks like that's not it. Okay, so that was the city inspection report. Any other questions? Are we good?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try to go through. I'm just trying to make sure hitting these. I printed one more out too.
She's fine out here. She's being quiet.
Before I forget it, and I'm glad I saw the disclosure, which isn't always included. There was a wildfire disclosure. Did you see everything in the news with all the fires they had in California over the last few years? Yeah. This last year wasn't that bad, and it was a nice relief. The few years before that got pretty bad. Ventura got hit pretty hard one year. So they have links that are on that disclosure that just check it out and see in terms of where the property's at. From what I recall, it was more towards Foothill, which is like, it's much further west than where this property is located. It doesn't mean that this property is immune to it. Cameron has been pretty safe with it. Oxnard, I think, pretty safe, but they got a lot of smoke, and so just the air quality was horrible at the time those things were happening. So just making sure that you're aware of it. Coming new to the area, it's like, what do you get? You're probably thinking, what are we coming into? Earthquakes, fires. We got now we got this virus that's hitting global, so you can't really get away from that. But it's just been a little crazy, to say the least. And what's really, I guess, just insane is just how strong the market's still been growing through that. It was a little bit of a setback during that year when it hit Ventura pretty hard for the Ventura properties. There were people literally about to move into a house in escrow, and then it got wiped out.
Wow.
It got pretty bad, but just make sure you research that. There's other things you can look up too. And I'm just trying to cite as much of it as I can off the top of my head. It's called Megan's Law. Have you ever done Megan's Law.com?
No.
So Megan's Law is like sex offenders. So.
Megan's Law.
Yeah, Megan's Law. Yeah. So Megan's Law, you can run a search on that, check the property out, and just see kind of who your neighbors are. But I mean, even where I'm at in central Cameroon, we got a few of them around. So.
My stepdad does all that for me. He's in high-end security. So whenever we move to a new place, I tell him to look up my neighbors for me, and he'll give me anything.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So, just as I think of those things, just trying to make sure you're aware of is, many different things that could be important. All right. Yeah. So we got the roofing bid. I'm just going across the bottom, make sure there's anything else. Home inspection report. You want to just try to go through that pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think that's probably that's just the home inspection report. That's that summary report, right?
Yeah, this is the summary up front, and then I'm going to try to do it without doing it like that. Maybe this is easier.
The home inspection is probably the most
Yep. So what I'll do with just going through here, so he highlights the safety and health, priority number 1, and then he goes 2 and 3. And I like how he organizes it, because some home inspectors will literally list like 1 through 100, and you can't tell what's more important than the other. And then they'll try to put little arrows and things everywhere, and it really isn't a good, thing. That's part of why I like Alex and the way his reports are laid out. So it just starts with the water heater, just making sure, he said it wasn't tightly blocked to the wall. It does have the double straps, which is what you need. And then the water heater temperature pressure relief valve line runs uphill prior to the discharge point. This is a potential safety hazard. The drain should only run downward by gravity flow to the exterior. It is not to be reduced from its 3/4 inch size. Properly installed the drain line. The gas line is not provided with a sediment trap. That's what I was talking about there. And then recommend installation of trap by a licensed plumber. So we can ask for all of this. We can ask for some of it. Again, the thing that has to be done is the double straps, which is already there. So again, we should probably note it and then pick which items we really want to pursue forward with.
I mean, I don't know much about that stuff, so how much of an issue is that? I don't really know.
To be honest, when I saw it, I didn't even realize or notice it in the way that it's being explained here. So I couldn't, if I were there at the property, I could see how big of an issue, or at least, to repair to replace it. Usually, most of the time, I'll see a line, a pressure relief drain line that runs down, and then it just cuts off. They don't have it running all the way to the exterior, and that typically gets called out. This one looks like it was running to the exterior, but they're saying it runs uphill as opposed to downhill. So if it already goes out to the exterior, we can look at the page on page 15, see if that helps us a little bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the pictures.
Yeah, so that's the nice thing, is it refers to all of that, and sometimes next page. I don't see it there. 15, here we go. Okay. So let's see if we can zoom in more. So the block should be behind it, is what he's referring to for the double blocking.
Uh-huh.
I don't like this one. Okay. Yeah, you can't really see where the pressure relief valve is though on this picture.
That's a pretty minor repair, right?
Yeah, it's this right here. So can you see where my cursor's at?
Yeah.
I believe that's where it's at. No, actually, I'm wrong on that one. It's on this side. So see how it's going down right here and then kind of up? That must be what he's referring to. So it should go out and then just start dropping down.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's talking about. Water heater tempered pressure relief line runs uphill prior to the discharge point. This is a potential safety hazard. This drain should only run downward by gravity flow. So a lot of times you'll see this drop straight down. I've never seen it with the flex right there before it went to the copper either. So usually it's like a hard copper that drops straight down.
Okay.
And then goes around. So I don't think major, but just something to note. So I'll just put it on here, pressure relief valve. Okay. All right, so the second one, deck was observed by the inspector and found it is wearing well, is durable and capable of being used. That handrail balusters are spaced wider than the present code allowance of 4 inches. At the time this house was built, it was approved spacing. However, spacings wider than 4 inches pose a safety hazard for small children. Recommend installing a safety type barrier if needed to protect the small children. So see photo on page 18. Do you know what he's referring to on that? Would you like to see the photo?
Yeah. He mentioned that on the outside one and the indoor stair rail as well.
Right.
If you can add a safety thing to it, I don't know that that's something that I would probably want done prior to us actually being in there, but I don't know that it's a big deal to have them do it per se. I don't, what do you think, Jason?
I think that we can either put a solution up there that's workable. I'm not suggesting go back in and replace, wood and put it all in, but you could put up, a mesh fencing and staple it to the wood there.
Well, it's saying there's a specific safety rail or whatever that you can install basically in.
Well, what they're saying is that the gap in between those is wider than 4 inches, which 4 inches is really small. And so it prevents a kid from getting their head out there, because if they can get their head, their shoulders and everything else goes pretty quick. Right. But if you put up like just a plastic mesh fencing that you would use for gardening, a deer fence, those little things, I mean, it doesn't take away from the appeal of the balcony, and it still acts as a protective barrier for children.
Well, yeah,
and that would also
you're saying. I just
too.
More what I was asking was that it sounds like there's specific things you can buy for this, and I would rather just do that, like whatever that safety type barrier is that you specifically buy for this type of thing, we could just get that. I just don't know the cost on it.
Right. Yeah, just just depending on what it is that you do, but actually the way that you explained it, Jason, is the way that I've seen it done for a property that I saw on CME, and it kind of looked like almost like that cross fencing that goes across,
lattice fencing. You can use lattice fencing, you can use chicken wire, you can use all kinds of cheap, I mean, you can do it for under $10. So that's definitely not something that I would bring up to the homeowners as a make or break. The roof, yes.
What about the indoor one?
Say again?
What about the inside one, the stair railing? I wouldn't want to just do like some mesh thing for that.
No, and that's something that I could easily just move those over. I mean,
okay, so
you take the top railing off and then space them accordingly.
So we don't want to include that for that's not something we need them to do. Okay. All right, perfect. So.
All right. I'll that's good to discuss it though, and these are still.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling back and forth, trying to.
Because honestly, if you put your seller hat on, and everywhere that there's a red line, I mean, Alex was extremely thorough,
right?
But then nobody likes a proctologist that goes roto-rooter and doesn't stop till they hit their molars. So if you're trying to buy the house, the roof, big ticket items, obviously, but when we go and sell the house, it's going to be fixed up to a point, and then I'm going to let them know, hey, see that smoke detector? See the CO2 detector? Water heater strap. Have a good one.
Exactly.
The roof is
new.
So,
yeah. Hopefully they don't say the same thing to us. Right.
Right.
But yeah, no, I
hey, it's possible, man. You got to brace for impact. That's all it is.
And
if you got to walk away, hey, they're still getting MLS listings. I still know which one I'm going to go see.
Hey, when you were checking the house, did you open and close doors at all?
All of them.
You
the
did?
patio door from the slider, there is a missing handle to it. It doesn't latch. It closes, but it doesn't latch.
That was like the single pane one, right? The one going.
Yep.
Yeah. It didn't have a lock on it. We had to do something like that at my Prairie View property, where we had to put some type of lock.
Yeah. You can either put a broom handle, or they sell them at Home Depot. I think they're like $22, $24.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on to number 3, because I got like 15, 20 minutes tops left. I'm not trying to rush anything, but
no problem. And before I read through every single line on here, I just want to make sure we hit all the major things too on the. So we did termite, we did city inspection. We didn't do disclosures, but as I mentioned, there's not much to really go over on that, but you definitely read through that. The roof we already went over, solar lease. Ceiling repair. Okay, so Alex called out in the garage. There was a spot that looked like there was a repair.
They repaired that water damage, yeah.
But that wasn't, that was actually like that prior to them moving in. So he did text me that because I asked him the question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was already done prior to. And I did ask Alex if he checked it with the moisture detector, and he said there was no moisture there.
Yep.
That was dry.
Okay.
Still waiting for the cost of the water softener. There is a water softener on the property. Sometimes they're owned, sometimes they're leased. I asked him the question. He hasn't responded to that, but I'm going to follow up with him again on that, just at least what the cost is to it.
Okay.
Typically assumable, and they're usually not too expensive, but it is worth having them. A lot of I haven't lived in Ventura personally. Danielle has, but I know the city of Oxnard and Camarillo, the water is very hard here. So it's just for like your shower doors, for everything. It's just really tough. It's just tough to clean and maintain. So that water softener is usually pretty high. People like it a lot. So it's a good benefit. That's really it there. We talked about the appraisal, disclosures, the contingency period, termite section 1 and 2. And then just in terms of inspections, was there anything else that you wanted to inspect?
Yeah.
I don't think so. The only thing that like we did on this house, we did a scope, an extended scope of the plumbing, but there was foundation issues with the home. So
Okay.
I can't think of anything to do a further inspection on. Sometimes mold is a good idea, but I don't know if that's an issue for that area or not.
Well, and Ventura is better than it is being out in Hueneme. Hueneme, termites usually a lot worse. There's a lot more moisture in the air. Ventura, the closer you get to the water, you're going to get more moisture. But we're further. I mean, this is more central to east Ventura, so you're further out with that. Typically, my clients that have had known water damage, where we knew there was a leak, like an active leak or like a major, type of leak, those are the situations that I've had clients say, okay, we want to do a mold inspection. Usually between, about $450 for a mold inspection. And they'll normally find some. What they're doing is they're measuring the level outside versus the inside, and then they want to make sure that there isn't high levels of certain types of mold on the inside. Not saying to not do one, but haven't seen anything by any of the reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a good idea to do it in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any other inspections really need to be done unless Jason, you think so.
Not that I see.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go through the rest of this, just through the summary items, and then
okay.
when you get a chance, I mean, read through summary, but also go through the photos and the detail, because most of it is summed up in here. Every once in a while, I'll find like a couple other little things, like I don't remember seeing that in the summary, but just make sure that you've thoroughly gone through the entire thing. So
I read all this yesterday, but yeah, I probably want to go over it again.
Yeah, it's no problem at all. So just real quick, so the roof we've already spoken about. And we're going to ask for a new roof, so we don't have to spend too much more time on that. Trim here, exterior maintenance, painting of wood trim will need to be done before too long to help protect the wood trim materials. So the fungus.
Wait, I'm sorry, where are we at?
So we're on the third page up here where it says exterior foundation basement.
Oh, we skipped the some of the primary items, or what?
No, we finished. So primary was as we went down. Oh no, sorry, I did miss some of that there. Okay, yeah, let's finish.
I thought we were on number 3.
Yeah, so we did the decks. Sorry, I saw that at the bottom of the next one. Okay.
That's all right.
The firewall. So installed interior garage fire door. Door closers should be either adjusted or replaced to fully close and latch the fire door. So it's just so this is the door going from the house into the garage.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's something that they need to do. Jason?
No.
All right. So moving on, number 4.
So stored items prevent access and testing at some outlets and switches. Inspector could not ensure proper safe operation. Further inspection is required. Exposed wiring is run for garage circuits. This is a potential safety hazard. Electrical wiring runs are to be made inside an enclosed wall or through an electrical conduit to protect the wiring. I remember the two of you talking about this.
Yeah, that's where they use Romex, and well, maybe California code is different, but there's a lot of states where Romex is actually a suitable source as far as enclosed. It's got the fire extinguishing outer sheath that protects against sparks and potential fires. So,
no, I agree with that as well, and it's that's the same thing. It gets literally called out in almost every inspection report. Typically, what you'll see is in the garage, there'll be just a regular Romex that's running either to the garage door opener, light, and for most people that's fine. But the home inspectors, there's CYA on there as well with some of these items that they're calling out. You know what I mean?
So that's somebody. That's somebody instead of paying, $200-300 for an electrician to come out, spent, $30 and just did it themselves. Yep. It's a quick, easy fix.
Okay. So, so the next one we have here is outlet cover plate is missing. This is a potential shock safety hazard. So that's in the kitchen. It says representative sampling of switches and outlets was tested. As a whole, outlets and switches in the kitchen are in serviceable condition except outlet cover plate is missing, potential shock safety hazard. So replace the missing cover plate.
Those are bucks.
Yeah. GFCI, so it's built before the requirement for GFCI outlets at bathrooms and kitchen sink areas. For shock safety reasons, recommend installing these type of outlets and outlet areas. So it just refers to it there. So putting a GFCI, another $20 for each of those, and then depending if you know how to do it or if you have to hire an electrician. All right, next one. So for the fireplace, no damper clamp devices installed at the gas log set fireplace damper. And then I'll just start from the beginning. Zero clearance, prefabricated metal type, masonry, facing, and hearth appear serviceable. Gas log set is installed and appear serviceable. No damper clamp devices installed at gas log set fireplace damper. It's a potential carbon monoxide gas safety hazard. Fireplaces with gas operating log sets should have a clamp installed on the damper to prevent the damper from fully closing. So dangerous gases will freely the chimney flue at all times. Install a clamp of some type to prevent damper from fully closing. An old style brass gas line is installed in the fireplace. This is potential fire explosion safety hazard. Recommend installation of improved flex line by a qualified licensed trade person. See photo detailed report 32. Do you want to go to the photo for that one?
Olivia? Hey, yeah, let's go there.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to deal with a child issue for a moment.
It was off by a little bit. It says 32, but I'm not seeing the fireplace. Are you seeing it? It said page 32 for the fireplace, tub, shower, cabinet.
Yeah, I don't see the fireplace, so.
132. Let's look down another spot. Smoke fire detector. There we go. So we got that here. So it could have been page 29. Okay. So this is where they're referring to it here. So zero clearance, prefabricated metal type, masonry, facing, and appear serviceable. Gas log set is installed and appear serviceable. Note, no damper devices installed at gas log set fireplace damper. This gas operating log sets should have a clamp installed on the damper to prevent the damper from fully closing. So dangerous gases will freely escape up the chimney flue at all times. Install a clamp, some type to prevent damper from fully closing. An old style brass gas line is installed in the fireplace. This is a potential fire explosion safety hazard. Recommend installation of an approved flex line by a qualified tradesperson, licensed trade person.
That would probably be number 2.
Okay.
That's a big issue, or what?
Well, I don't have any copper tools that I can work on copper with, and I'm not I'm not certified to work with gas, and I don't feel overly comfortable with an odorless, tasteless, colorless gas. So if they got somebody that's a subject matter expert, I'd rather just have them do it.
Okay.
Is that an expensive fix, or is that a cheap fix that we could just hire somebody to do it for us?
Well, depends on the, replacing that gas line. I don't know what the cost would be for that. I know the damper clamp is pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, it's $3.
Yeah, that's nothing. But the old style brass gas line, trying to see what I think he's referring to this here. Can you see the cursor on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's referring to that. So he's just saying to replace it with an approved flex line. So I would imagine a plumber should be able to do something like that. You could try to send a plumber to get an estimate for that. Or you can get a fireplace, specialist. They're typically going to charge you about $150 to inspect a fireplace. So that's an option as well. But the fix may be cheaper than the inspection,
Yeah.
So, but we could ask them, see if they can do something about it. Just ask them to do the repair. Oh, here's the handrail that you can see on the interior. I was hoping to see that somewhere. You see that?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that scares the crap out of me with that. I have very curious and daredevil children, so.
Maybe I was going to say related, but that's probably not a good word. So I mentioned that on the list here. So number 2, I put old style brass gas line for that to be replaced.
Okay.
Okay, let me go back up. All right. So we're still on 1. Okay. So we did the fireplace, and now smoke detector, that's an easy one. So smoke alarm is missing in the master bedroom.
We can put that in. That's easy.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that, they're actually supposed to do that, but we want that done before the appraiser gets out there, so he doesn't have to reappraise it.
They want to appraise if it doesn't have it?
Yeah, well, they'll appraise it, but they'll call it out, and then it'll come up. So especially VA appraiser, just FHA does the same, is they'll appraise the value, and then they come up with the repairs, right? So if they call out anything that has to be done prior to, so it's like a repair list, and then that. If they go through and they don't see the smoke detector, that will definitely come up, and then the appraiser has to come out a second time. When they come out a second time, there's a $100 charge to the buyer, and then the buyer will say, hey, seller, you should have had this done, so you pay it. It just becomes a little, inconvenient. So I'll just make sure that I mention that to them. Smoke detector, and then carbon monoxide.
Okay.
Those are the 2. It's easy though. We just want to make sure it's brought up before the appraiser gets out there. Stairs and handrails, we just talked about that right now. So stairs, handrail, and landing balusters are spaced wider than the present code of 4 inches. Spacing wider than 4 inches pose a safety hazard for small children. Install a safety barrier type railing. All right. So priority 2, are we ready for priority 4?
Yep.
Okay, so roof system, discuss that one. And then the trim, that's also being taken care of by the termite already for the fungus damage. It talks about painting it though, so that would be an additional thing. Again, these aren't the priority 1. These are habitability, security deficient items. So each one listed need of repair replacement for everyday normal use in order for the items to properly function or to prevent further potential damage. Okay. See if most of that is covered by the termite there, but they're just saying to paint the trim to help as preventative, so that you don't have future like dry rot damage there. All right, and then concrete slab on grade. Careful visible inspection has been made of the exterior exposed areas of slab and foundation walls. These areas were observed by the inspector and found it is wearing well, is durable, is capable of being used. Note, interior area floor slab is not visible due to carpet and other floor coverings, and it is impossible to determine if there is hidden damage to the concrete slab. Typical settlement caps or cracks are noted. All right. The next one here, and just stop me at any point. I'm just trying to move through because I know.
Are they talking about under the carpet with the added room or the outside?
They're talking about in the inside of the house. So the added room,
Okay.
interior, just basically you can't tell
Right.
you know, if there's any cracks or anything when you peel that carpet up.
Okay.
Electrical system, so roof mounted collectors. Note, due to the technical nature of the equipment, the solar powered electrical system was not inspected. Serviceability, so it's just another CYN. The home inspector consults seller or licensed electrical contractors to further evaluate the system. Plumbing, interior water pipes were observed by the inspector and found they are wearing well, durable, and capable of being used. Note, viewing of plumbing system is limited. Waste drainage lines are not fully visible, but those observed appear serviceable. Unable to fully view waste vent pipes, but those observed appear serviceable and are properly venting. Note, viewing of the plumbing system is limited. Conditions of buried sewer lines and other concealed waste lines are unknown. Consult licensed plumber for an inspection of the waste plumbing system. These inspections have been required by some city jurisdictions, which it is required for the city of Ventura. But again, we've already received the clearance for that. So if you want to schedule that, you know, just let me know, and we want to get that up in the next few days. That's for the camera inspection if you decided you wanted to do that.
I don't want to do that.
Enclosed patio is at the same elevation as exterior concrete slab, so this is what we discussed before. This may allow water to enter into the wood frame walls and onto interior patio flooring. Recommended drainage improvements. Sliding screen doors are missing. Replacement doors should be installed. Sliding door lock set is defective. Recommend repairs or replacement for security reasons. Window screens need rescreening. There was a tear in at least one of the screens that I saw there that I noted on the Avid.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
page 18.
On that, babe, are we wanting them to try to do that or what?
I put it as number 3.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's number 3, but the current house that we have, because there was foundation issues, there was so many issues with different sliding doors and the front door, the garage door. Like, I'm sick of dealing with door issues.
Yeah.
So I think because I have a bad taste of it, just because of our previous house.
What is it that you would like them to do?
Well, it says replacement door should be installed. Sliding door lock set is defective, so fixing that. Recommended repairs, replacement for security reasons, blah, blah. So I would say the sliding door lock and the replacement door installed.
What do you mean the replacement door? Like, so it's got the glass, but it doesn't have like the screen slider.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it has a second track for that or not.
I'm not sure. I can't remember either for that part, but yeah, it's referring to the sliding screen door missing. Trying to think of how much it costs to. There's certain people that actually build those. It's
kind of saying it. What it sounds like to me is that it's saying the sliding screen door is missing. The replacement door should be installed because it's a part of the drainage issue if it rains. I
think for the drainage, and let's read it. So this may allow water. So yeah, enclosed patio is at the same elevation as exterior concrete slab. This may allow water to enter into the wood framed walls and onto the interior patio flooring. Recommend drainage improvements. But again, I'm not, an expert stuff. If we want to ask Alex, we can ask what he was referring to. But I remember him telling us about that verbally, about it being the same level, and that we may want to look into draining improvements.
Yeah, so what you're looking at doing there is probably busting up that concrete and then lowering the actual grade level.
They tell you not to touch your nose and your face, and you notice it's so much harder not to itch your nose and face right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your nose and face.
I know. Believe me, I washed I got hosed down after I came out from Costco, man. And,
this is that door handle that they've got. It's an $11 door handle.
The door lock that you're talking about, or just the?
Yeah. Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not seeing it on here. Are you sharing it? Oh, yeah. Now I see it.
That's the sliding door lock.
Oh, it's the whole hardware assembly. It's a patio door lock. That's an $11 one, or you can upgrade for one with a key, $16. It's less than well, some of them are $20, but $20.75. You're looking at roughly $20 to replace that.
Okay, so the sliding screen door that's missing, the replacement door should be installed. Is that something we want them to do or no? Because I wasn't there. I didn't see that part. I just know with how it went with this home. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, since we are going to ask for the roof, that's going to be your biggest ticket item. Yeah, if we ask for the roof and some of these other things, it's just, kind of, if you were saying, okay, we're okay with roof, there's been no leaks, but we want all of these things, then I would push it if it were me. But again, it's your call on what you want to do.
I agree with that. We don't know what the appraisal is, and so I just want to make sure I write down like the things that I care more about, and then we can always knock some other things out. Like for example, we get the appraisal and it's a lot less, and then that would make a difference too. And if we even ask them to do the roof or not as well, or just the roof or whatever.
Well, what's likely to happen is because the inspection was up front first, they wanted to see whether we were going to ask for, a pretty significant request for repairs. And when we're getting close to the 10,000 mark, that's more than usual.
Significant repair.
Yeah.
So we are asking for it. If they say yes to it, and then the appraiser comes in low, or the appraisal comes in low, it's not likely they're going to do both. It's likely likely they're going to say, okay, we already gave you a $10,000 credit if they said yes to it, right? Or they could say, we'll give you half, we'll give you 5 towards it, or we're not going to give you anything. We're doing like we talked about earlier, smoke detector, water heater, and carbon, and the house is. We gave you this at a discounted price, right? So they can come back with any of those options. Once that happens, then the appraisal comes in. If it doesn't come low at that point, then we got to go from there. They're probably not going to respond to our request for repairs until we get the appraisal back, is my guess. But we want to submit this definitely in the next, 2 days, ideally 2-3 days, just so they see exactly where we're at. We see how they respond to it. And again, they may kind of make us wait until that appraisal comes in.
Well, when does the appraisal come in?
It typically takes about a week, and right now it's taken longer with all these crazy regulations and what they're saying out there. So Jason Harrelson sent me before our escrow even opened. I want to say it was either before or right as our escrow opened, like, hey, just be aware that appraisals are taking longer right now. They're taking longer to get out there, to actually go and do the inspections. Usually just in the regular market, after it's ordered, usually it's within probably, I'd say 48 hours. If I'm the listing agent, I get a call, and then they'll call me up and say, hey, what, does tomorrow work for you between this time? And then they hop out, check the place out. Appraisal takes 15, 20 minutes tops. They go through, do measurements, take pictures. VA maybe a little bit longer, They will go into the attic, and I didn't see anything in the photos that looked like an issue, like exposed wiring, sticking out or things that should be called out. But then, that report will take about a week in most situations. In this situation right now, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's going to take longer than that. You can pay for a rush order. Rush order in the past used to come out to about $600. Your appraisal is roughly going to be about $450. If you rush it, it's about an extra $150, and then that'll shorten it down normally a couple days, to where you get about a, like a 3-4 day turnaround time instead of a 7-day turnaround time.
Especially if they're going to be moving out in June or end of May.
Right. So hopefully they'll give us time on that appraisal. But again, it also depends on, it sounds like we're going to be asking for at least a credit for that roof, right? Which is pretty significant. So the tone could change completely, after we submit that request. Because if they, say like, okay, well, this is going to be a lot more expensive, and we think we can get a higher dollar amount even in this situation, and we're willing to wait it out. We got time. If they respond back with that, then it's just that notice buyer before may be coming even right on day 17 for that appraisal, which then we would be in that position. I don't see that happening just because of the state of what we're dealing with right now. So I think it's fair to ask for that, see how they respond, and just know, hey, look, this is something that we need to protect ourselves and get the best opportunity we can get.
All right. So let's see. We were on the 7. If we could just put the sliding screen door down for now, and then depending on what else we come across, I might cross it off.
Okay. Yeah, I got it written down here. So, okay, next one, garage, carport, roof. It says prior ceiling repairs. That's what we talked about. Cause, status, condition is unknown. Inquire with the seller. They said it was done prior to them moving in there. Next one, garage passage door lock is defective. Lock should be repaired or replaced for security reasons. Exterior areas at the same elevation as inside garage floor slab. This may allow water to enter into the wood frame walls and onto interior garage area. Recommend drainage improvements. So that's in the same reference there. So it shows page 22. I can go down. I'd like to see it.
Nah, you can just replace that, right, Jason? The lock.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'll stay up then. Go back to it. We're getting there. All right. What are we at? Patio. Just making sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, got it all so far.
Patio, porch, roof. So this is all in the garage door. Okay, heating, air. Says fuel, natural gas, electronic ignition provided. Gas line is not provided with a sediment trap. Recommend installation of trap by licensed plumber. See photo detailed report, page 25. It's the same thing that was mentioned on the water heater as well.
Jason.
I didn't hear the last thing. Jason Harrelson was calling in and trying to meet him to give him the rest of his paperwork.
Okay.
What was the question?
No, it was just brought up recommend installation of trap by licensed plumber on the furnace. So it's brought up on
the trap is missing.
You're breaking the what trap?
Sediment trap. So just basically when things are coming through the gas line, it just catches. I don't know. It's in the new code, the new code that came out. Something for us
to look into it.
What's that?
I'd have to look into it, but I'm sure it's not that terrible. Photo on page 25. Are they just talking about that little plate on the right side?
Let's check.
So you'll see the burners, the top view of the oven on the left side, and then the bottom view.
Past it. This is where we're at, 25. Sediment trap. What was that? Range oven, boiler, kitchen.
That's it, I think.
Yeah. Gas line is not provided with the sediment trap. Recommend installation trap by less.
Yeah, 3. Well, it said 25 in that picture though. Or on the.
Yeah. So it starts at 25. Then I think he adds more things to the report. So it's always like within a couple page range.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Right.
So do we want to include that or not? Babe?
No. No.
Okay. All right. I'll go back up. Okay, so we just left off on that. So other interior additions, alterations have been made. They talk about recommend inquiring with seller for building permits were obtained and signed off by the local authority prior to close of escrow. Check local codes for all repairs and improvement work done on the property. So that's the city inspection report is what we have in terms of permits and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, next one, bathroom area, hall, half bath downstairs, sinks appear serviceable, sink faucets appear serviceable. Note, non-standard flexible drain line is installed, which is subject to clogging and reduced drainage flow. Sink drains should be 1.5 bore piping. Licensed plumbers should be called to make further evaluation and repairs as needed.
Yeah, the master bathroom did have an outdated sink. That's why I was gonna do the concrete overlay at the Texas property, so that way I can get a good practice on it. I think that would be a nice upgrade, especially since the hardware, the faucets, and the drain stopper, those are gone or they need upgraded at the California place. And you can upgrade the vanities with concrete countertops as well for relatively inexpensive.
So you're already ahead of it on the next one. So sinks appear serviceable. Note, sink faucets is corroded. Faucets will eventually need to be replaced. Sink's drain stopper is missing. Replace drain stopper. And it says see page 34. Yeah. Next one, sink appears serviceable. Sink faucets. So this is the bathroom area, master bedroom, 3/4 bath, shower upstairs. Sink faucets appear serviceable. Sink drains appear serviceable. Note, sink drains stoppers should be adjusted or replaced for proper operation. Tub shower, plumbing fixtures. Drain appears serviceable. Handheld shower appears serviceable. Water fixtures appear serviceable, except adjustment is needed to water fixture for proper operation. Water leaks around the shower fixture connections. Tape the connection with pipe thread tape may stop this leakage. Or new shower fixture may need to be installed.
They just need upgraded. They're old.
Yep. All right. Tub, shower, and walls. Shower wall areas appear serviceable. Shower enclosure appears serviceable. Note, shower door bottom gasket is damaged, missing. This gasket helps seal out the water from the bath flooring. Replace gasket.
Is that a big issue or no?
No, hon, it's not. They're all minor issues, yes, but definitely not something to bring up, especially because
All right.
the dollar amount. Those are less than $50 fixes, all of them. Yes, they do add up. I know death by 1,000 cuts, but if our big ticket item, the roof, that's what we're going after, then yeah, because that one's already going to raise a stink.
All right, so we can skip 1 and 2 then, right? Of this next priority 3 items.
Yeah, roof system.
I already read all that from last time.
And then plumbing main line. So I'll just read it. So main entry water line, unless you want me to skip it. 1/2-inch diameter. Inline pressure regulator is installed to regulate the main street water pressure down to within the recommended 40 to 80 psi for house use. Water pressure tested at the hose faucet was with recommended PSI pressure reading and appears adequate. PSI is approximately 63. Water softener unit is installed because softeners are on set. on a specific timing for proper operation. These units are not tested or included as part of the inspection, requiring inquiring with seller or licensed plumber about the operation and condition of the unit prior to putting the escrow. House water shutoff valve was not tested because these valves oftentimes malfunction as they're in the on-open position all the time. Care should be taken in operating this valve if the water valve or water should ever need to be turned off and on. And then it shows you where it's at on page 14. So next, we got.
We could probably move on to number 8.
Okay.
Right, Jason?
Yep.
Yep.
I didn't see any issues with those other ones.
Okay. So primary heating system, Goodman date unknown. Recommend inquiring with seller heating contractor for this information. System condition number 1, burners. Burner flames appear typical, 3 burners. Inspection of interior burner heat exchanger areas beyond the scope of the inspection. Heat exchanger portion of the gas-fired heater is difficult to access without disassembly. Cannot be adequately checked during a visual inspection. So it says see photo, detailed report, page 26. Refrigerator, unknown if water service is available behind refrigerator. Recommend inquire with seller about the service. I did see a water line when I was doing the visual inspection from the fridge over to where the sink area is at. So I can't promise, but there's definitely a water line that was going over there. Latch, so this is interior doors. Latch strike on door framing should be adjusted so door lock will properly latch. Edge of door should be trimmed. The door adjusted to keep from binding, sticking. Interior doors should have at least ½ inch clearance under the door so not to drag and damage the carpet and loosen door hinges. And also to allow for room for air to return back to the furnace unit for recirculation.
On that one, is that going to be an issue to the latch strike plate on the door framing? I know it sounds simple, but we did a lot of repairs on our doors here, and because the foundation's off, it still would be like a reoccurring issue over time.
Yeah. Is it? Are you asking me a question or Jason?
Jason.
What?
I'm talking about number 11 with the door.
Yeah, the latch strike plate. That's an easy
not
fix.
Properly latching. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we said about this house too. I'm just saying I'm seriously tired of the door issues. Like it's like an everyday thing. So if you really think it's that easy to fix, I was not there to open and close the doors to see how bad they were.
Yes, I will put my credibility on the line for this door.
Okay.
All right, we got this on video, Jason.
Got it.
All right, closet door sliding track roller pin should be repaired. Porcelain finish is chipped. Chips should be repaired with porcelain filler to retard rusting and leakage. Recommend proper repairs by qualified tradesperson.
Where is that chip?
We'll go to page 35. It's going to be around page 35. I did see the picture.
I just didn't know if that was an issue of like my kids getting scraped on it. Oh, it's yeah. It's not on the bottom.
It's not on 35. What page is it on?
It's on page 32.
This guy sucks.
We should start taking bets on how many times, how far off it's going to be from the page that's referred to.
Yeah.
It's always like 2 off, I think.
It's about 2 off. I think it's in Spanish. I'm not trying to, get in trouble here.
Yeah, I see the chip.
All right. Okay, that's the summary there. We pretty much went over, just about everything through here. So basically what I got, just kind of summing it up. We're going to ask for the roof, 9,200, water heater. So the ones we wrote down, water heater pressure relief valve. Number 2 was the damper. The old style brass gas line is installed in the fireplace. And then after that, we got smoke alarm, master bedroom, carbon monoxide detector. Those are 2 easy ones. Sliding door lock. we put
No, no, take that off.
Why?
The sliding door lock?
No, not the lock. Adding the actual installing the sliding door.
Okay.
So the sliding door screen.
Let's see, where's it at?
Yeah.
What number? It was on number. Was that section 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Unless I misunderstood it, it was actually saying installing the sliding door at the lock.
Oh, the whole door, like actually replacing. So instead of the single pane, putting a new sliding door in.
I need to find where it's at so I can reread it because I'm not sure.
Okay, so it's on page 4 for real. It's on page 4, item number.
Yeah, it says, let's see. Sliding screen door missing, replacement door should be installed. That's what I was referring to.
You want me to call him, see if I can get a hold of him and ask him about that?
I mean, I don't know what it looked. Is there a picture of it?
It's the biggest thing. It worked, but it didn't lock. So,
Right, and that's
yeah, it's working. It rolls. It just doesn't lock. It came to a complete shut, just didn't lock. But it didn't have a screen door behind it. So, yeah, but I can call him if you want to speak to him. It does say page 18. Let me see if I can.
So when they're saying the sliding screen door and the replacement door, it's not the actual, okay, so I was just misunderstood then. It's just the extra piece on it that you're referring to, the sliding screen door?
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's, that's how I'm reading it, but it could be, so this is the exterior, which you can't really get too close on the photo. That's the area right here that I was saying when I walked by that you would probably want to seal that up, this area here. Can you see where my cursor is at?
Yeah.
I'm walking, sealing that spot. And then over here, this is the sliding screen door here, or not screen door. It's missing a screen door. This is the slider here.
Oh.
So that's your glass slider. It's a single pane. It's installed. All of these are like plastic windows. They're not, it's not.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
even know
glass.
what you call it, but
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
brought up about repairs though, as he was trying to see if he wanted to go into escrow with us. He was saying, look, there's little splinter like cracks on the bottom of these things here. Like, we're not, we're basically we're not going to be fixing that. You know what I mean? That's as a sale. That's how they bought it. That's how they're going to sell it. So when we start hearing those things, I mean, that starts giving me an inclination in terms of roof, in terms of everything, how they're likely to respond to it. However, we do have some leverage right now, if you want to call it that, based on the fact that it's going to be tough to get people inside this house. Now, deals are still coming together. People are just more virtually. So, if this doesn't work out for us, we can try to show property, but we're literally going to have to get like emails from the seller saying, hey, we understand the risk involved of having a showing. And then I literally, these are what the companies are practicing right now. I just got off the phone with the manager of the Pinnacle company who used to work for our company. And we're still showing property, and they're requiring an email from the client saying, I understand the risk, but I still want to go and see this place. You know what I mean? So it's because of that order that was given out by the California Association of Realtors. They actually took away the ability to be able to put an open house on an MLS listing right now. It's removed. We can't even advertise an open house if we want to. They're just trying to be very careful about it, at least over the next few weeks. We don't know how long it's going to be, But these are just little things. I'm just glad we got that inspection in when we did. The appraisal, I'm sure they're going to accommodate that, but it's just something to think about. If for whatever reason we decide to walk from this based on the roof, just knowing, and then, you know, I know we took you off the searches, but you still have access. And if you want me to run a search, I'll still run a search for you. I looked at everything basically under 650. There's nothing out there that looks comparable under 650, at least in Ventura in that area. Nothing comparable. It's a big drop off when you start. The nicer ones that look good, it's at 700,000, and the good ones are already in escrow. But there's still a couple others right at 700K. So it's just keeping that in mind.
So if these aren't, so if that's not glass, what is that called again?
I mean,
Glass.
yeah.
Okay. That doesn't affect like the interior, anything like in terms of ventilation, all that, right?
Not that we could see. I mean, it looked like just like.
No, and it's not going to affect airflow. And if it's a big issue, what you can do with that type of fiberglass, what you can do is take super glue and pour that into the cracks, and it will seal it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I guess moving on, we can take that off then.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to type this up, and then you guys just check it out. You know, look through this again. I know we went pretty thoroughly through it, but if there's anything else that you want to add before I send it over, just let me know. And then, like I said, we still got a couple days before we do this. Bigger thing is I want to make sure if you guys want to do a camera inspection, only because I dealt with some plumbing leaks here at my house, and I didn't do a camera inspection. So if you guys want to do that, I'll try to see if I can push to do it. They may say no to it. They may say yes. You know, these guys, Brandon seems cool. I mean, both the husband and wife seem very accommodating. So I'd imagine they're going to be okay with it. I'm just sharing with you what came out, you know, just recently from the California Association of Realtors. So, you know,
To do a camera.
I mean, just inspections in general. They're actually saying no face-to-face. Like they're trying to kill this.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
So they're really trying to do as much virtual as possible. I actually just ordered a little camera thing for my phone to do virtual tours. So it's going to be interesting depending on how long this thing takes to get past it, you know? So if we need to ask for more time, we can ask for more time. I'd like to, if we're going to do a request for repairs, I'd like to get it to them and just see what the response is going to be doing. And if I were in your position, I'd ask for the roof as well, just to see, you know, if it were me in this position, I'd ask for it. You really, I mean, I don't want to say you have nothing to lose. I mean, they could just be like, really, a roof, you know, and come back with it. We at least have the wording on the evaluation saying 2 years, you know, for a replacement in order to certify it. So, you know, I think it's worth a task, you know, and we'll just go and see how they respond. So, and you're not jeopardizing a whole lot on these other repairs. If you had to hire somebody to do all these things yourself, I remember when we were going through the place, it's just like, okay, these are all the damper that comes up all the time. These plumbing things with the water heater, pressure relief valve. I mean, maybe at the tops, $500 for all of this. I think case scenario you're looking at. You know, would you agree, Jason? Ballpark?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more, but I don't see it as being, if you got a fair plumber and somebody would do these things, it's not a whole lot more. The only other inspection would be a chimney inspection, but he didn't say anything about there being a crack in the in I forget what it's called, but it's basically the casing that's inside. When they say that's cracked, then I almost always will say, okay, you know, get your chimney inspector out there. Again, if you want to do it just to check, you can, and then maybe they can quote something on that repair. But I think a plumber or, you know, somebody who's qualified to do that, it shouldn't be a major fix there.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I think that's about it in terms of, you know, all the things that were sent over. So
okay.
You guys have any other questions, just let me know. Or if you want to set up any of these inspections, let me know. And then I'm just going to work on, I'm going to finish my AVID, my agent visual inspection disclosure. I'll send that to you. And then I'm also going to work on this request for repairs. and then I'll send it over to you. Before I send the e-signature version, I'll just send the typed up version so you can check it out, see if you want me to make any changes to it. I mean, unless you want to type up the wording yourself and then have me tweak it, I can do that as well. So whatever you prefer.
We'll just like write it up, Brandon.
Sounds good. I'll write it up and then I'll send it to you just to make sure I get your approval before I send it for signatures.
Okay, perfect.
All right, guys. You guys
appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thanks, Brandon.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
All right. Good night. Bye.
Good night.